So I don't know who knows and who doesn't, but I was on the Steve Harvey show. I will insert a clip or even the link of the video in which um I was I was on the Steve Harvey show back let's see, March of 2019. I was pregnant with Josiah. Josiah is my third born son. And April 1st, I actually gave birth to Josiah. So this is the beginning of, well, I was in the storm, but I wasn't really recognizing it, but it's about to get real quick. So, a week after I had Josiah, I was doing some lurking on Facebook, and I stumbled across a page of a girl, which was actually my husband's. I guess I consider her a side chick. But I stumbled across a picture of her baby, and her baby looked just like my baby. And so I felt some type of way, that, that my baby looked like her. So I went to my husband about it, and he was just like, you're picking on me. Like, that's not my baby, kind of thing. So I just bypassed it. But 8 weeks later, boom, guess who's pregnant again? Me. Yeah, just call me Myrtle. Yeah, that's what they call me. Well, don't call me Myrtle no more, because I don't want no more baby. So it's cool. But I ended up pregnant 8 weeks after I had Josiah. And so about, I'd say July, August, I had sent a picture of this baby to my mother-in-law, and she was just like, he ain't right. And I'm like, right, that's what I'm saying, because this baby just looks like too much like my baby, right? So she felt like it was his baby too. So I contacted the girl who was the alleged mother, of this baby. And I wanted them to get a paternity test. So the test did come back, and the test came back that it was his baby. And so that was a hard time for me. I was pregnant with Naomi at the time, which is my fourth child. She is absolutely amazing, my only daughter. And it was a very hard time for me to be happy and accept what was going on at the same time, because I knew that my husband had like a wandering eye, but I didn't think that it was to the capacity of him actually having another child, other than the child that we had conceived together, and the children that we've had before then. So that was a really hard time for me. And through that, I still was in this storm. So we were living in my mother and father's house, not being a good steward of money. And then my husband had addiction issues. So living in my mother's house, my mother and father's home. We ended up moving out. I'm going to say we moved out around like November. We moved out of my parents' home. And matter of fact, we moved out October. I was pregnant with Naomi still. We moved out October and ended up moving into a home where we were only living there for a couple months. They ended up selling the home while we were in it. We was living in it. So we ended up having to go move back in with my mama and daddy. So that was December-ish. Moved back in with my mom and dad. And so that's when I really started seeing that my husband had addiction issues, right? So I would find little airplane bottles and things like that, but it didn't get as bad as and how can I say it? It was bad, but it wasn't bad yet. Things started to get worse, right? So We started going to counseling. We tried to go to counseling, but it was hard because he would never be in a sober mind. So we would be in counseling at church and he'd be high, or he wouldn't drink before he went, but he'd definitely be high. And anybody who smokes knows that, we can really clear, cloud your mind and your judgment. So I ended up giving birth to Naomi March 5th of 2020. And that was like right at the beginning of the pandemic. So that was an adjustment for me, as it is having not one baby but two, because Josiah had not turned one yet. They are 11 months apart, which was one of the most craziest things that I've ever done, and one of the most challenging things that I've ever done as well. So I'm going to say a month after that, after Josiah's birthday, the day after Josiah's birthday, I had put Jeff out my mama and dad's house because he was just no help any longer. I was over dealing with him being the alcoholic that he was. And I think that I felt like it was definitely time for him to get some help. So I had put him out, and that's when I started like a level of healing that I didn't really know I needed. I had held on to him for so long for his help, but it was help that I wasn't getting. Like, he would be drunk sometimes, so it would be bath time, and he'd be drunk, passed out in the bedroom. Mind you, we're living in my parents' house. There's no reason for my parents to have to help me with anything. But that was pretty much the hardest season I feel like I've went through in motherhood. And I really had hoped that he would get it together, for the sake of our relationship, for the sake of our children, and, give our kids a home that they deserved with, two parents, two sober parents, So, that's my dog, Honey. I had to take care of these parents, not parents, excuse me. I had to take care of these children at home at my parents' house by myself. And that was a very lonely time for me. It was a very lonely time for me. And I'm so thankful that God kept me at that time, because I felt so lost and I felt confused, and I was trying to figure out how I got myself here. And it really was a lot of disobedience, that got me to that point. So he ended up getting out of rehab around our anniversary. So it was like May 30th-ish, I guess. And I thought things were going to get better. I really did. We've had counseling sessions while he was at rehab. But I ended up kicking him out again by August, because he had stopped taking his medication and he started drinking again. And I needed him to be a sober parent, a sober father, and to be there and help me with the children that we created together. And so he went back to rehab, and that was from August to November. And so that November, we ended up moving into an apartment about 15 days into the month. And so I had gotten on the Depo shot, which was the Devil 2. Got on the Depo shot because I did not want to get pregnant again. I refused to have gotten pregnant because I didn't want any more children with him. I mean, that's just the honest truth.